The devil may care if I show
Jay,
around my heart
and everybody in the audience, I would like you to indulge me for a couple of minutes. Just to go on a little bit of a mental journey with me. Play a little bit of pretend, a little bit of role playing. Nothing embarrassing. I'm not doing it again.
Indulge us.
I want you to, maybe let's pretend. I'm gonna ask people to pretend they have a really high-ranking job. Maybe not a job they'd be interested in, but a job that comes with some cachet and some power and influence. I want you to pretend you're a high-ranking movie studio executive. Like you're that person that's going to green light the movie and say, we're going to make this movie. We're going to spend tens or hundreds of $1 million on your movie because we think people will go see this movie. So I want everybody, you, Jay, and everybody else to pretend that's you. And I am a screenwriter. I'm coming into your office. I got my pitch. Okay? And here's my pitch. I say to you, Mr. or Ms. Movie Executive, I say, here's my pitch for a movie that's going to draw people in and that's going to sell and get people going to the multiplex. They'll need to see it before they even stream it. They'll need to go to the theater for this. And it's a story of a young boy. So like a lot of young boys, when he's a kid, he plays a sport. And like a lot of young boys, he plays the sport that his dad plays and knows a lot about. And the young boy gets into this sport. Now the thing is, though, the sport that this young boy plays and is passionate about is not the number one sport in the area in which he lives. It wouldn't even be number two. I don't even think it would be in the top three in terms of popularity and following and understanding by his friends and his countrymen. But he decides to pursue this sport. And then as he gets into his teens, he's getting noticed. He's not just good in his country, which isn't particularly strong at this sport. It's okay, but it's not a world leader. But he's noticed as a top prospect for this sport. And he's told, like as a teen, still relatively young, like nowhere near adulthood really, he's told, you can pursue this sport professionally as an adult, but you kind of have to decide now, years before even being an adult. And he says, okay, I want to do that. And then some other things happen, which would be played out in the movie, but I'm just kind of giving the overview here to sell my screenplay.
Some more backstory to it.
It's like, okay, you can go play in a relatively small and remote city almost 7,000 kilometers away from where you've grown up. 7,000 kilometers. And the now teen thinks about this and says, okay, I'll do that. I'll go. No guarantees. No real idea what it's going to happen. Got to move a long way. And he says, okay, I'll do it. And then that kid continues to excel at his sport, continues to do really well. And now it's time to become a professional. And at the age of 17, 18, he is considered one of the most promising potential professionals in his age class. And so he gets, hired, selected by a professional team in that sport. And that professional team, at the moment they choose to employ him, is the worst professional team in their sport and have been for quite a while. And they say, you're picked. You're coming to us. You don't really have a choice the way this profession works. It's not like sometimes people can apply. He's picked. He's going. And things don't start off very well in the first couple of years. And then you know what happens? He makes a friend. He makes a friend on his professional team who is even more talented than he is. And they sort of grow up together through their 20s. And their professional team that was pretty darn lousy, largely thanks to the star of our story and then his friend who would be a supporting character in this film, they become pretty darn good. And then this lad who we followed around the globe, his journey through this sport, which again in his country is not the primary sport, becomes the highest paid professional in that sport. I think everybody knows where I'm going with this, as we are bringing you oil Understood by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They're the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years, and now a proud partner, Jay, of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel. Understood.
Are you talking about Tim Stutzel?
Close. You got the right country.
I love the setup. I know what you're talking about. This is the story of one Leon Draisaitl.
And I was thinking about that. Certainly we were celebrating, and Oil Country was celebrating the signing yesterday. But that's the Cole's notes of what happened. His dad's a pro hockey player, becomes a coach. Leon's in a sport that has soccer, that has F1 racing, that has basketball. He becomes an elite hockey player. I looked up the distance. Cologne, Germany to Prince Albert, 6,842 kilometers. Apologies to the residents of Prince Albert, but I do think it would be considered a remote and small city.
Amongst other things.
By Cologne standards.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's only one player in the NHL that at any given time can be the highest paid player in the league, and probably for, well, at least a year, he'll be surpassed. It'll be Leon Draisaitl. And so this got me thinking about some other stuff, Jay. And we have the Steph Currys and the LeBrons and the Mahomes of the world, and the Otanis and all these great players. And then I started thinking about other great hockey players we have had in the past. Gretzky leads the way, obviously. And then I started thinking about Draisaitl, McDavid, Matthews, Crosby, Ovechkin. I guess those would be the 5 headline guys from the last 20. And probably, I know Makar, McKinnon, a lot of good players. But people like stories. They like knowing the athletes. I think, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong, and people can chime in on the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. And I thought to myself, does the NHL specifically market its star players as effectively as they could, or as effectively as other leagues? And then I also got to thinking, is it as possible to do that as it used to be when we knew about Wayne Gretzky and Walter Gretzky, and Wayne watching a game and tracing where the puck goes and realizing it's behind the net a lot, and all the stories like that? Whereas compare that to Connor McDavid, he has been a entity projected for stardom from when he was, 10? Maybe earlier? That there's a certain... Is there a barrier now to pro athletes that we're not going to be able to get past in terms of maybe to get to know some details of their life? I gave a very general overview of Leon Draisaitl. I mean, and we're lucky in Edmonton. We got the story. We know the story of why he's number 29, because former U of A Golden Bear Ben Thompson. You get little snippets like that, but and was it Crosby that shot the pucks into into the dryer? You get little bits like that, but do we really get the athlete's story as much as we used to? In a world now with cameras everywhere and social media, everybody, more abilities to tell stories, has that just made these athletes, and to some extent these leagues, even more guarded, and we really don't get to know the people and their stories as much? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but it just got me thinking about all this, thinking about Leon and his contract and his journey.
Well. The best ability is availability, right? Are NHL players available to the media as much as maybe they were in the past? I mean, we've all heard the stories of the Gretzky era where they'd be at, David's Pub on Argyle after every game, and fans would be there celebrating with them, and it was that kind of atmosphere. But that was a different time too. Cell phones were not around. Snapchat was not around. Things that players would be terrified of being in front of were not present at that point. It was a much more personal journey and private with them and whoever else might have been in the pub at that same time or run into them at the mall. It's different now, but I do agree. I do feel that there is a sentiment or a feeling of protecting a lot of players. I'm not sure why, because I feel the more you open that up, and it's got to be a give and take thing here. Obviously, that's written into some sort of a players' association handbook or guideline that this is our availability for a reason. But I mean, there was a time as well that the media in Edmonton was allowed into the Eskimos locker room every game, practice, whatever. And guess what that did? That brought light to a lot of their players. The Sean Flemings of the world, the Willie Pletzes, the Jed Roberts, the Larry Rucks, the Gizmo Williams now had a place where they could go and they could show people who they were outside of what you see on the field. And I feel that is now gone from a fan's perspective. You don't really know a lot about Connor, about Leon, with the Elks right now, it's hard to really get to know a lot of those players because it's ever changing.
Well, that's a whole other issue.
That's a different. That's another story.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Yeah,
but and yeah, there's a point in the nasty chat right now that says Connor had that open house that they did, and they showed.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Which was I was really intrigued that him and Lauren, now his wife, did that because it's his house. It's his house.
Yeah.
So that's a great point. I'm glad that individual brought that up. But I wish this is one of those where sometimes I wish that person could be here so we could actually talk about it. But was that also not very controlled as well?
Somewhat awkward, I would say. Like this was almost a chance to buck the trend and say, "Oh no, we're letting you into our house," and it was controlled. Yes, absolutely. Probably had twice the amount of footage that we actually saw, but they were taking the proper tight takes. Mm-hmm. I don't know whose idea that was, how that came to light, but it was good for fans to see a different side of Connor with his dog running around the house and showing off their style, and that's kind of the new way I guess you could do that. But and maybe now that Leon signed long term, we'll see something like that from the Draisaitl camp or family.
Yeah.
But you're right.
So
but it has changed. I mean, social media has changed everything for a professional athlete.
And you're right. You have
to be more guarded because for every one of those, hey, come see our home tour view. Then you see the people that were harassing Connor McDavid trying to get a case of,
the beer stuff.
White Claws or whatever on his way home from the playoff game.
For the team, we're going to the Cup final.
Like, can you guys leave me? So there's a give and take
and leave him alone. Like, but people Gazdic told me a story. Yeah. Sorry, Gazdic told me a story a couple years ago that when Connor was a rookie, he's like, "Let's go to the mall," and Gazdic was like, "Are you serious?" And then they went to West Ed, and Connor was like, "Hey, we got to leave." And if you think about it, I mean, I'm sure people who go up to these athletes are thinking, "I'm going to take 30 seconds." Well, say 100 people want to do that. Now you're up to 50 minutes that you can't shop, right? So so how much do you want to open up your life or your whereabouts or your habits just because then it's tweeted out or there's pictures of you and people are like, well, he seems to go to this restaurant every Tuesday. Maybe if I go there, I get an autograph. You want to avoid that.
But what's the reason people are doing that? Are they doing that just so they could purely have a picture of their child with Connor McDavid? Meh. Or are they doing it so they can post it on Instagram, on Facebook, on whatever medium that they choose to say, look who we saw.
Right.
It's not really what it was for me and you growing up is a piece of memorabilia, an autograph from Gizmo Williams or a signed, rookie card of name your choice. Those are personal memorabilia. Right. This is now seeming to be more of a
show off.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you though, Jay, and obviously for all the people tuning in. I know we're kind of hitting on a few different things, but this sort of overreaching theme that we're going to have on the show today is storytelling and about sports and athletes. And when it comes to the NHL and hockey, in your mind anyway, does hockey to some extent fail maybe not fail but is the hockey culture different when it comes to putting an individual in the spotlight? You know what I mean? Is there more of like, whoa, don't talk too much about me? It's all about the team. It's all about the team. Whereas other sports might be like when LeBron goes to the Lakers, it's like, well, I'm LeBron and I'm going to the Lakers. I mean, I know I'm the show here. Whereas hockey players would be like, whoa, like everybody's equal here.
Well, what was that new the new one that came out with, access to players that came out on Prime Video? It was NHL docuseries.
All those things. Yeah, and I know there's the hard knocks that the NFL does.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is entering into that form of allowing you to get inside the personal lives of players, which is it strange? Yes. It sure is, to want to get inside the personal lives of the star athletes. But I think it's human nature too, to invest a lot of time in watching these people on TV and then you almost get a sense that you know them. Well, you really don't. This would allow you maybe to know them a little bit more. Would I like to see it? Absolutely. Should it be mandated or forced upon players? It can't be. But there are certain players. I mean, look at a guy like Paul Bissonnette. He was a scratch scrub hockey player for, in reality. He has now made more than he could have ever made playing hockey because of his career afterwards, with Spittin' Chicklets and the likes and doing all that. But he's come out of his shell.
Yeah.
You've seen that he's a funny guy. He's not just a fighter and a guy that spent most of his time in the press box. So it can work both ways. Maybe not for the superstars of the world, but for the
maybe that's the thing.
Middle tier players, I think that could absolutely help.
It's it just got me thinking that are we given the opportunity to celebrate the stories and the journeys of some of our athletic, heroes? Let's face it. Maybe some people don't like that word, but Leon Draisaitl certainly in this market is a star and is looked up to.
Now, I will say, you asked the question because Rip City Step was in, and he's actually blushing right now because you said, I wish I could talk to you more. And he's blushing because Reid said he would talk to him. But you'll find, and if Reid's in public and you see him in public, do not come up to him. Do not ask him for an autograph, all right?
No,
he's not the guy.
You can, but I don't know why you would want one.
No, but several people have come in and said that Lauren, Connor McDavid's now wife, is an interior designer.
True.
So figure out why that video was posted.
Well, and that's another thing. Is there
There's
whether
usually a
that's
reason.
the case or not, what's the motivation? But I just think, I guess my basis for this was, I feel like we knew a lot about Wayne Gretzky's life and family. And maybe we don't know. And I'm not saying we deserve to or have to, but it adds flavor to the story. And if you love hockey and you're passionate about hockey or whatever you're passionate about, you like knowing little details. I still like knowing little details about Def Leppard songs or whatever because I'm interested in that.
Because you're invested in them.
Right. So
you're personally invested in them.
I throw that out there as something to think about or talk about. Will you buy my screenplay?
Depends.
The story of Leon Draisaitl. So here's what we're going to do for fun today as well. It's our off-topic topic for William Huff. Since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading advertising solutions for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service, combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best it can be, is what they call the William Huff advantage. Visit their website, williamhuff.com, or give them a shout, 780-454-4536. I think this one might be fun. Give us your cast for a movie about the Edmonton Oilers. We'll include last year's team and this year's team. So you could still have Fogle or you could have Arvidsson and Skinner. But I will say this, for the sake of brevity and also so you're not spending your entire afternoon thinking about this, pick 2 to 5 players or coaches. I would have this person play this person, and I would have this person play this person. We talked this morning, Gager and Hernan and Belzy jumped in with some suggestions as well. So that's the off-topic topic, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat, or email reid@edmontonsportstalk.com. Cast some of the Oilers players or coaches in a Hollywood movie. Who plays what player or coach? Let us know. Take some time to think about it because we'll
marinate.
Let it marinate, and we'll do these before the end of the show. Speaking of great stories, the Golden Bears football team, an incredible story. Head coach Chris Morris is coming up. Here's a sports update with Matt.
Edmonton Elks quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson and wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr. were named to the Week 13 CFL honor list. MBT was also the top offensive player following his 486-yard, 3-touchdown performance as he led the Elks to their Labor Day win over the Stampeders. Bomber quarterback Zach Collaros was QB1 at practice today as Winnipeg prepares for the rematch with the Riders on Saturday. Collaros left the game this past Sunday in the first half after taking a helmet-to-helmet hit. DeMar Hamlin will start at safety for the Buffalo Bills in their Week 1 game against the Cardinals, marking his first start since he went into cardiac arrest during a game back in January of 2023. And the Toronto Blue Jays are looking to split their 2-game series against the Phillies, although as they head into the top of the ninth, the Phillies lead the Jays 3-2. Coming up next, University of Alberta Golden Bears football head coach Chris Morris joins Reid Wilkins and Jay Milne. I'm Adam Wanek. You're up to date.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
Get ready, Edmonton. The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's time to celebrate the best of the best with the Estes, as we honor everything from Edmonton Sports Talk's incredible first year. Join us on September 17th at Metro Cinema for an unforgettable night of excitement, laughter, and recognition. Tickets are just $10. Secure your spot by emailing Matt at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And after the show, let's keep the party going at Hudson's White Ave for the official after party. Mark your calendar, grab your tickets, and get ready to celebrate the best moments of EST. It's the Estes, September 17th.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki with like a giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Lynyrd Skynyrd with like an angel band. And I'm in the crowd hammered drunk.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
All right, thanks so much for tuning in this afternoon. Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. See you, Gager. He's Jay. I'm Reid. Show number 2. Great to be a part of Edmonton Sports Talk. Now 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. with our live and local coverage. I guess now if someone's a 6 o'clocker, do they have to say which 6 o'clock?
Daddy?
Matthew,
Well, we're
has
not
no
on the air
response
at
to that.
6 o'clock.
Well, we could be. We could stretch it.
So
We
that's
go
the
to
thing.
6 p.m.
This is when you're
But
supposed
the
to go
6
like this.
o'clockers are part of the 6 a.m. hour.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's where that comes from.
So we got to come up with
I'm
something
guilty
else.
of blasphemy. Appreciate you tuning in. We will have Chris Morris, head coach of the Golden Bears football team. They have their home opener on Friday at 7 at Foot against Calgary. They got a big win against the UBC Thunderbirds. Are they T-Birds or Thunderbirds? Did they take the thunder out of it?
Let me just say this. I was listening to the broadcast, and they kept saying UBC.
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 Do you emphasize the U?
No. You don't say U of A. You say U of A. UBC. UBC.
I say UBC, yeah.
It drove me nuts. Actually,
Maybe it's a thing that they say it that way.
UBC. I don't know.
You sound very happy. UBC.
UBC. We got some people coming in here on the cast. The cast is starting to come together.
Already? Okay.
Oh, yes.
People are quick with this.
People are quick. We've got William H. Macy to play McDavid.
Wow, big age difference, but interesting.
Big,
Okay, you'd have to
big.
de-age him a little bit.
Nuge, played by Michael Cera from
I never
Superbad.
thought of that. Okay. Wasn't he...
What?
Sorry, I might have misheard you. Did you say Superman or
Superbad.
Okay, they said Superman. And I was like, That'll be another topic for someday in the summer. Worst casting decisions you could think of. Michael Cera as Superman.
I had one that I thought was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I can't say. I can't go there on air. With the comment I want to make there, I can't
Tell
go
us
there
after.
on there. In the commercial break, I'll gladly tell you where I was going to go on the worst casting decision, but I will not say that one on there. I do not need a phone call for that one.
Okay.
The word we have, by the way, is just keep trying Coach Morris, because I know we got to get him on here in this window. Thanks, Matt.
So once again, the Reid's off-topic topic presented by William Huff is to put together your Hollywood cast that would play the Oilers in a movie.
Last year's Oilers or this year's, which is a lot of the same players, but there's been some
I've
changes.
got one that just came to mind right away.
Okay.
Because although I'm not a big Parks and Rec guy,
Good show.
Nick Offerman as Stu Skinner. I mean, come on.
Because of the mustache.
With that mustache, that plays. That hits. I had Chris Hemsworth playing Leon Draisaitl.
Hemsworth as Draisaitl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Somebody this morning said, I think it was Hernan, said Ryan Gosling as Draisaitl. Gosling's got great range. I think he could do it.
Gosling. I don't know. I just remember Gosling from. There used to be a show that was on. It was like students were on a cruise ship, a school.
Breaker High. He was on Breaker High.
Yes!
Which I didn't watch, but I know
Breaker
about
High.
because he's so famous now. He's an excellent actor, by the way. What about Benedict Cumberbatch as Chris Knobloch?
Oh my gosh! Yes, that wins. That's
I'm
good.
gonna write the screenplay and cast people. All right. So people are jumping on this, much quicker than I thought. I thought people would take some time and look at photos and maybe send us a nice solid list of 5. Here's the stars. But
You
they're
want
just
people to do
firing it
research
off.
into this?
It's not our listeners.
We
not our folks.
just shoot out there. We just throw things at the wall and see what sticks and what doesn't.
Ooh, I don't mind this
Will
one.
Ferrell as Jim Matheson for the Why Are You So Pissy bit.
Oh yes,
That's pretty good.
I like that. McDavid played by Khalil lead singer JJ Julia's son.
I apologize. I don't know who that is.
I know who the band is, but I'm going to have to find a picture of this here. Okay, lead singer of Khalil. Okay, let's do this. This is awesome radio. Guess it's not radio. I guess it's live
Phil
streaming.
Hartman as Matthew Awanek? No, Awanek would be Phil Hartman from News Radio.
Matthew, you going to correct me?
Affleck and Damon as Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah, we're radio.
Go
That's
ahead.
pretty
We're
good.
radio.
We're radio?
We're digital radio.
All right, baby. I like it. Let's go. Yeah, there's a lot of one. Ben Affleck as Matt and Matt Damon as
Yeah.
McDavid
Keep them
and
together.
Dry. I like that.
I don't know. Do we know enough young actors who could play hockey players in their 20s? I don't know.
Or you could just do the Robert De Niro thing in The Irishman and
They just-
totally botch his younger
Yeah,
years.
what do they call? I said de-age when someone said Macy as McDavid, but it's not called.
CGI?
Yeah, it's some sort of aging. I don't know. I don't think it's called de-aging though, but it's something they're doing now to make actors look young. I think they do it with Ford in the latest Indiana Jones movie.
It's called steroids.
No, it's
Steroids
de-aging.
and face work.
It's de-aging in motion pictures.
It is
and
called
television.
de-aging?
It's called de-aging.
Botox.
Okay,
So it's like de-icing, I guess, of playing, but they de-age you.
they
in
de-age
movies.
you so you can play a younger version.
Yeah, you even
yourself
list that one
if
as
you need to do
an
that.
example.
Okay, we're not getting Chris.
He has not answered on my
Okay, well we'll keep trying.
5 attempts.
Okay, all right. Well,
Those
we'll
are
keep
rookie
trying.
numbers, Matty. Those are rookie numbers.
Hopefully we can get.
Well,
him
you got to
before-
balance them out. You got to space them out.
But we do want to have Chris on because the U of A football team is, like I said, the theme today is kind of going to be stories and great stories, hopefully. And they are an incredible story. Chris Morris, he's been the coach for, this is his 12th year, but his 11th season because there was no season in 2020. And when he took over, I mean, the team stunk.
Dreadful.
Let's face it, it was dreadful. Now, what years were you there again?
02 to 06. 02 through 06.
Right. And the team was pretty good.
Well,
most
we
of the
stunk
time.
our first year.
Okay,
We
fair.
went 1-7. Then we went 4-4. Then we went 7-1, 7-1, 2 straight Hardy Cup appearances, 2 straight losses. We
You didn't have to
stunk.
add that last part in.
We
You could have
sucked.
just ended it at 2 Hardy Cup
We
appearances.
lost it.
Boom.
We beat Saskatchewan in
That's all you have to say.
Saskatchewan to get the Hardy Cup home to Footfield, and we blew it.
Just leave it at
Was
that.
that the 21-20 game?
Yes.
Final score? Because I got the results up here. So they actually
blew it.
hosted. So
We should have won that game, but
What
Saskatchewan. Well,
did you lose on a Rouge?
No, that would have been deadly. How ironic would have that been, Matthew? We did not lose on a Rouge. We just, you know what? They beat us. They
were
out
good.
game planned us at the end of the game and took advantage of some coverages on defense that we were in that we probably, in hindsight, shouldn't have been in. And then we had a chance to go march down the field and kick a game-winning field goal. Interception. I believe it was an interception, and that's that.
So let me
And
ask.
Saskatchewan went on that year, I'm pretty sure, to win the Vanier.
So let me ask you this before we maybe dive into, and Chris if we get Chris, he'll dive into this as well. But you'll have some thoughts on how you actually build a U Sports program and then sustain it. But as an alum of the team, because I don't know, you and I haven't talked about this. Maybe you moved on and didn't think about it too much, or maybe you're still fully invested. Like, how disappointing was it for you to see you move on out of the playoffs, like 2-6, 3-5, 2-6, 0-8, 2 years in a row. They had some years, even when Chris was there, in which they only had 1 or 2 wins, and some of them were by forfeit because teams used the ineligible player and were later stripped of a victory.
We took those victories, as we celebrated.
You still get them. They're still in the win column. But as an alum, and again, and even before you were there, like when I was going to school in the early 90s, I went to Golden Bears hockey. I went to Bears and Pandas basketball. I went to Bears and Pandas volleyball. I didn't bother going to football. Like even like Wilkinson was the coach. They weren't that good. They were okay.
Yeah.
So your team was kind of a first good teams in a while. And then how hard was it for you to see that?
Well, but you don't, or maybe we haven't discussed it yet, but when I was done my playing career at U of A, I went right into the Alumni Association because during my tenure there, I was the player liaison to the alumni. So I would attend alumni meetings on behalf of the players and just give them an idea of what's going on in the locker room. They'd give me an idea of what's going on in their world. So I went and joined the board of directors of the alumni right after. And then after 2 years after that, I was the president of the alumni. So I ran the alumni for 8 years after I played. Well, 10 years, 8 years as president. Mm-hmm. And that's when Chris was brought in. And that was a huge decision. I wasn't, the alumni board wasn't a part of that. They had a committee that was put together. They made the right choice because Chris came in and the first thing he did was address the culture. There was no winning culture present for the Golden Bears football at that time. And that's something that's hard to